Orad, mis hermanos y hermanas, para que este sacrificio mío y vuestro sea agradable a Dios Padre Todopoderoso.
It is a small act of hope, perhaps more than small, that in this country, in less than 3 years, 250 churches and synagogues have declared themselves public sanctuary, claiming their authority over and against an illegitimate authority, and being willing to become potential felons.
It is fitting and proper that the first church in the city of Los Angeles be the first Roman Catholic church in this same city to declare itself public sanctuary. It is also fitting that this public declaration be made in the context of this community's Eucharistic celebration. For it was at the same altar of sacrifice that the physical voice of one called Oscar Arnulfo Romero of El Salvador was forever silenced. But his prophecy is surely fulfilled in our midst in this moment. For he said, "If they kill me, I will rise again in the Salvadoran people."
Hermanos y hermanas, acabamos de hacer una declaración pública y comprometemos nosotros mismos que aquí en la iglesia Nuestra Señora Reina de los Ángeles proveeremos santuario a los refugiados de Centroamérica.
My brothers and sisters, we have just publicly declared and committed ourselves here at Our Lady Queen of Angels Church to provide sanctuary for Central American refugees, December 12, 1985.
What you have just seen at the Mass this morning is the official declaration of sanctuary by the first church in the city of Los Angeles. It is the parish that declares sanctuary. There are no rules as far as declaring sanctuary is concerned. Each parish does so in terms of its own limitations and its own ability to meet its responsibilities to refugees within our midst. And for them to be simply hidden away from the reality, I think represents the absence of a moral responsibility to address the root causes of why they are here. I think we ought to recognize that if there were no war in El Salvador or Guatemala supported by our tax dollars, there would be no refugees. If there were no refugees, and if there were no refugees, there would be no need for the sanctuary movement.
Todos vamos a decir la misma cosa, que el pueblo unido jamás será vencido, ¿ok? El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Romero vive, amigo, Monseñor Romero vive.
Sin son Rodino, abajo la ley. Sin son Rodino,
¡Sin San Rodino!
The church for me, the most significant meaning of church, and the one that I think Jesus had in mind, was a community of faith-filled people committed to struggling for justice. That to me is church. How that ever became the Roman Catholic Church institutionalized with a clerical hierarchical structure is one of those mysteries in our history. Now, some women and myself included, understand that social change comes about by those who have the patience to work within the institution, as well as those of us who want to stand outside and challenge it there. And so some women are working hard for ordination within the system, or to move into the diaconate position, or to read the Gospels during liturgy. Might they be co-opted? We can hope not.
Again, I think that this Roman Catholic institutional church would ordain canaries before they would ordain women. You know, I really believe that. But it's symbolic. I do not think that women now, after their experience just of the past several years, see any credibility or usefulness to be ordained within the patriarchal structure. I think some of us romantically thought some years ago, when ordination was first spoken of for women, that we would get in and we would change some things, you know, romantic. We now know, after a series of clear incidents and events, that there is no way we're going to get in. We will get drowned in the cultic clerical structure. So it's changed, but it's important to keep the symbol visible.
But there are women, like right now, who are not willing to wait any longer, who have that sense of urgency, who have a deep understanding of what priestly power means, and come together to celebrate together what we believe was a gift to us from Jesus, and that is the power as a worshiping community to bring Jesus' presence into our midst, to inspire us to go out from that meal together and act for justice.
Lord, and I ready to see you. Only say the word, and I shall be healed.
Christians may not simply be passive in the face of evil, and especially evil on a scale that is contained within this particular situation of deterrence, where the arms race has already been judged an act of aggression against the poor, causing them to starve and so on, killing the poor. The arms race is rapidly moving us to a point where the whole planet is going to be under extraordinary threat of its destruction. And no one has a right to put the people of the planet and the planet itself under that kind of risk. So that we are in this kind of situation that is just indescribably evil. And if there's no way to change it, well then clearly we must resist it.
Secondly, let me advise you, if you do, you'll be arrested for trespassing. That's going to be. Did you all hear that? You all understand?
I'm to that point where I believe that we must resist. And I also have a sense that we can't wait much longer before we individually, and I hope on a massive scale, resist.
The church is crossing the line. The church is crossing the line. The church is crossing the line.
I'd like to warn you folks, if you do trespass over this cattle guard, you will be arrested and transported to Beatty. Do you all understand that? Yes.
When I, together with a significant number of other people, make the act of civil disobedience, we are making a statement that I think has a chance of being heard and of helping then to spread the word that we've got to stop what's going on. In the peace pastoral, the most difficult part of it, I think, is the last part, which we call the pastoral challenge, where we call for a very profound kind of conversion. Elements of that conversion include a call to act against the commonly accepted axioms of the world, which is very challenging, to put yourself against what everybody else is doing, but also then to come to accept as normal the path of persecution and the possibility of martyrdom. that's part of being a disciple of Jesus. And to me, that's very challenging. It says that, yes, I must be ready to follow Jesus even to the cross.
Civil disobedience, of course, it means that we place ourselves in a very uncomfortable position relative to society. We are very likely to be arrested. Anyone who civilly disobeys is certainly confronting the law and could be arrested, put in jail. Might well be, in many instances, that's the place where Christians belong in view of the injustices that we see before us. I think there's evidence aplenty to point up that anyone who gets actively involved in the peace movement can expect persecution of a sort or other. I think that the Lord has prepared us for this. If I understand the life of Jesus at all, it is that he came to bring peace and forgiveness. And we know what happened to him, and I truly believe that that is something, not that we seek deliberately, but it is something which ought to be anticipated or expected of those who will speak out or in any fashion be actively engaged in promoting peace in our world.
And of course, we're here also to celebrate. Many of us have followed very, very closely this whole situation in Seattle and have been most happy to see a resolution. And I just want to say especially to Archbishop Hunthausen that I've been so deeply inspired by him, and I'm just so happy to be here on this occasion.
I have on a number of occasions referred to Trident in the Bangor base here as the Auschwitz of Puget Sound, because I am of the opinion that not that many people are aware of what's happening here. It was my best effort to raise consciousness, to make that comparison, which I know in many minds is a hard one to accept. But I feel that just as those who lived in the vicinity of Auschwitz were unwilling to face up to what was happening there and to at least speak about it, if not do something about it, so we here. But we who are Christians, we ought to be able to see from a faith perspective that this is not what we are called to be. Our God has created us as brothers and sisters. We are one in the Lord. We are a human family. And for us in any fashion to be willing to entertain the possibility of destroying hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in any instant, just doesn't jibe with the faith in the God that I know. I really feel that the arms race is a form of idolatry. I don't have any hesitation in saying that. I see too many of us putting our confidence and our hope and our trust in nuclear weapons, that these will in some way or other keep us from all harm and from all evil. It's an illusion.
It's very clear in the pastoral that it would be immoral to use those weapons. And in moral questions, it isn't just the actual use of such a weapon, it's your intent to use such a weapon that is also a moral question. And if you intend to use such a weapon, you've already committed sin in your heart. And so I do think that the pastoral letter is a serious challenge to people in the military. But it goes beyond that, because all of us who are citizens of the country participate in the public policy of the country, support it perhaps by our votes or by our tax dollars and so on. So we're all implicated in it and have to find some way to withdraw ourselves from the evil situation that is there.
Catholicism, for me, for one thing, captures the prophetic sense, and I'm most appreciative of that. It also captures or contains some, strong religious leaders who give me some example by their own lives how I ought to live my own. And it's Oscar Romero, It certainly is the 4 North American church women who gave their lives in El Salvador. It's the people in El Salvador who, in fact, live out their faith, believing in the message of Jesus. And it's the people of Nicaragua who now are willing to defend the revolution because they believe there is no dichotomy between being Christian, being Catholic, and being revolutionaries. It's those people who give me courage.
And it's out of that understanding that the Nicaraguan people, for example, politicized. They politicized out of their faith understanding. Now, I think there is a connection between that kind of a process of the People's Church and why I can see why the institution is threatened by such a thing. Surely, we all can. But there is an analogy, or whatever language we want to use, between the development of the People's Church in the base communities across Central America and South America and the development of the Women's Church in the United States.
I don't believe that the present hierarchical structuring of the Catholic Church is an authentic one. But that doesn't make me then discount the notion of church, because I think Jesus had a different vision. And feminist theologian Rosemary Ruther says to think that Jesus founded the present curia is an insanity, and I think I would just have to agree with her. That has so far moved from what the early church was, and I believe what Jesus intended this pretty loose group of people to be. It's amazing, and it's very sad to me. And it's somewhat tragic given the implications of the institutional church on human beings' lives right now.
I think we understand ourselves as part of the Roman Catholic Church. And who is to put us out? I get so annoyed when I hear Roman Catholics say, I fell away from the church. Fell away from what? They put me out. Put me where? They can't do that to us. We are the church, quote Vatican II.
All of my life I am crying.